But Standard Oil never knew that its dominance would be so short-lived. By 1890, it controlled 88% of the refined oil flowing in the United States. This was just the beginning of a long and tumultuous journey. Ohio successfully sued Standard, compelling the dissolution of the trust in 1892. This marked a significant turning point in the history of Standard Oil. The company's market share began to shrink, and it was no longer the undisputed leader in the industry. By 1904, Standard Oil controlled 91% of production and 85% of final sales. However, this dominance was not without its challenges. The company faced increasing competition from other oil producers and refiners. The U.S. Justice Department began to take notice of Standard's monopolistic practices. The U.S. Justice Department sued Standard under federal antitrust law, the Sherman Antitrust Act of 1890, for sustaining a monopoly and restraining interstate commerce. Prosecutors identified 4 illegal patterns: secret and semi-secret railroad rates, discriminations in the open arrangement of rates, discriminations in classification and rules of shipment, and discriminations in the treatment of private tank cars. The evidence showed that Standard charged altogether excessive prices where it met no competition, and particularly where there was little likelihood of competitors entering the field. This was a clear indication of the company's monopolistic practices. On May 15, 1911, the U.S. Supreme Court upheld the lower court judgment and declared the Standard Oil Group to be an unreasonable monopoly under the Sherman Antitrust Act, Section 2. This marked the end of Standard Oil's dominance in the industry. The U.S. Supreme Court ordered Standard to break up into 39 independent companies with different boards of directors. This marked the beginning of the end for Standard Oil as a single entity. Standard President John D. Rockefeller had long since retired from any management role. However, he still owned a quarter of the shares of the resultant companies, and those share values mostly doubled. This was a significant windfall for Rockefeller. Rockefeller emerged from the dissolution as the richest man in the world. The dissolution had actually propelled Rockefeller's personal wealth. He had managed to maintain control of a significant portion of the company's assets, and his share values had increased significantly. Standard Oil of New Jersey and Standard Oil of New York grew significantly over the next few decades. Jersey Standard, led by Walter C. Teagle, became the largest oil producer in the world. Jersey Standard acquired a 50% share in Humble Oil and Refining Company, a Texas oil producer. Saucony purchased a 45% interest in Magnolia Petroleum Company, a major refiner, marketer, and pipeline transporter. In 1931, Saucony merged with Vacuum Oil Company, an industry pioneer dating back to 1866. This marked the beginning of a new era for the company. In 1933, Jersey Standard and Saucony Vacuum merged their interests in the Asia-Pacific region into a 50-50 joint venture. This marked the beginning of a new era of cooperation between the two companies. Standard Vacuum Oil Company, or Stanvac, operated in 50 countries, from East Africa to New Zealand, before it was dissolved in 1962. This marked the end of an era for the company. Rockefeller's original company, Standard Oil Company of Ohio, effectively ceased to exist when it was purchased by BP in 1987. BP continued to sell gasoline under the Ohio brand until 1991. Other Standard Oil entities include Standard Oil of Indiana, which became Amoco after other mergers and a name change in the 1980s, and Standard Oil of California, which became Chevron Corporation. Standard Oil had 90% of American refining capacity in 1880. However, by 1911, its share of American refining capacity had shrunk to between 60 and 65%. ExxonMobil represents a substantial part of the original Standard Oil Company. The company was formed from the merger of Standard Oil Company of New Jersey and Standard Oil Company of New York. In 2016, ExxonMobil successfully asked a U.S. federal court to lift the 1930s trademark injunction. This allowed the company to use the Standard Oil name in some of its marketing efforts. However, not all of the original Standard Oil companies have been able to reclaim their heritage. As of 2021, 6 states that have the Standard Oil name rights are not being actively used by the companies that own them.